let's get into some of the more progressive parts of Canada Day. Canada Day is increasingly just like a Liberal Party convention. It feels like sometimes, right? It doesn't feel reflective of everybody's values, and it feels a lot of times so far detached from us in the West. So the Canada Day celebration in Ottawa starts with something terribly divisive, I think, and that's a land acknowledgement. Listen up.
Des Plaines-le-Breton, qui se trouve sur le territoire non cédé de la nation algonquine Anishinaabe. The 158th Canada Day is celebrated live from the Breton Flats Park, which is on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Avant d'ouvrir les célébrations d'aujourd'hui, prenons un instant pour s'ancrer en rendant hommage à nos racines. This grounded and powerful moment brings contemporary Indigenous voices to the forefront and uses art as cultural sovereignty, honoring our land, our roots, and living heritage. Le tout sera guidé par l'aînée Claudette Commanda et mis en mots et images par les artistes Jennifer Alicia Murren, Tachalik Partridge et Andrina Turenne.
Okay.
Oui, Kakina. Bonjour, Canada. Hello, Canada.
We're the third language. English was the third language, just by the way.
Families, friends, communities, and visitors from coast to coast to coast, welcome to Ottawa. Welcome to Canada Day 2025. You are all so beautiful. Oh, Canada, I stand firmly on the original roots of the land. Since time immemorial, the homeland of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe ancestors. Our ancestors are our roots. Welcome to the roots of the Algonquin people.
Look, I don't have a problem with Indigenous culture. In fact, I love Indigenous culture. But this is terribly divisive, and it is just for show. When they do these land acknowledgements and they say it's on the unceded land of the Algonquin, Le Breton Park, give it back then. Give it
right. What are all you guys? What are all you guys doing there? If it's stolen land, what are all you genocidal colonizers doing there with your elbows up gear? Like
just
makes
give it
no
back.
sense.
Otherwise, it means nothing. Otherwise, it means absolutely nothing, and you know it means absolutely nothing. And it's just a thing you say to be divisive, because if you really meant it, you would give Le Breton Park back to the Algonquin. But they never do. Actually, I would prefer if they gave all of Ottawa back to them.
You know what? Me too.
It's all.
Let it go back to nature. I mean, nothing would be better for Ottawa than to be allowed to go back to nature. But instead we have a ruling class that has descended upon Ottawa to rain down on the rest of us peons, telling us what's best for us. If they were really serious about reconciliation, they would just give it back. And yet here we are, starting race hysterics by compelling speech and mandating land acknowledgements. It's crazy. I mean, this is peak Canada right here. Happy Canada Day. Also, Canada ruined everything, and it's awful. I mean, peak Canada.
Which one is it? Which one is it? Are we genocide heirs, or do you love us? I can't tell anymore. And I don't make the rules. Mark Carney said he's never been prouder to call himself a Canadian. Let's find out why.
You know, there is no place I'd rather be right now than here, the true North, strong and free, celebrating Canada Day with all of you. I've had the privilege the last 6 months of crisscrossing our country. I've had to go visit some other countries for work. And I have never been prouder to say, I am Canadian.
And Irish.
And UK.
You know,
I'm
he's never
surprised. I'm surprised he didn't lead off with speaking as a European, because when he's speaking to European audiences, he's quite literally said those words. Speaking as a European, Mr. Irish passport, UK passport, and Canadian passport, and I think those are the three that we know about. God only knows what other passports he's just collected up along the way in his travels. But like a year ago, he was Mr. Speaking as a European. Now he's never been prouder to be a Canadian. Yeah, because you lord over us. That you
Yes.
he is Michael Ignatieff. He didn't come back for us. But
Right.
unlike Michael Ignatieff, they elected him. They, not us. They elected him. And so that's the only reason he's sticking around.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's so disingenuous for him to cherry pick his citizenship on the day of the year where the federal government dumps tens and tens of millions of dollars into celebrating the country. It's really great that he can cherry pick his citizenship on that day to say, you know, never has he been prouder to be a Canadian. I mean, the hypocrisy coming out of Mark Carney is just staggering.
Yeah. And again, the liberals are the ones who said that we were guilty of a genocide. So what are you proud of? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're guilty of a genocide. I don't. So, you know, if I were a fan of Canada, and I haven't been lately, then perhaps I would be the one to say I've never been prouder to be Canadian. But they're the ones who declared Canada a genocide state.
And a post-national state. And a post-national state. So
Right.
what exactly are we celebrating? What Canada was or what Canada is now? If you're taking the liberal definition of that, neither of those things are good. So
Yeah.
what are we celebrating here? What are we dumping taxpayer funds into? Well, it's a vanity project for the liberals, obviously.
Right. And if you flew a Canadian flag 2 years ago or 3 years ago as part of the Freedom Convoy, or before that, even after that, because the rallies against the lockdowns, even before the convoy, they looked like Canada Day celebrations. These were people who are proud of their country, didn't like what it was turning into. It was an authoritarian state that disregarded the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And so these were people who wanted their country to go back to what it was. And you were called alt-right if you flew a Canadian flag. All of a sudden, Mark Carney comes along, does the chicken dance.
Elbows up.
Elbows up, does the chicken dance, and all of a sudden we're jingoistic Canadians again with this weaponized patriotism. There are these think pieces all over the place of Canadians reclaiming the maple leaf flag amid Trump threats. They're saying that, of course, they trot out the local professor and chair of Department of History at the University of Guelph for comment. And he says there's definitely been a surge in patriotism, a defensive form of nationalism that results from Canada seeming to be under threat from a country we have thought of for so many decades as a close ally. Well, that's how Albertans feel.
Right.
Right? We feel like that.
And Taskies.
Westerners, let's just say Westerners, they have thought of the rest of the country for a very long time as an ally, maybe even sometimes a uninformed frenemy. And you're seeing a surge in Western patriotism. And yet when we do it, we're told to shut up, sit down, shut up. They can't understand why we are the way that we are. And again, if you flew a flag, you'd have these hysterics saying, oh my goodness, that's that person alt-right, as though people with different political views flying the flag was somehow offensive to them, that it was a flag only if you voted liberal. That's who the flag belonged to. It was offensive to them that normals might fly it too.
Yeah. No, this is a perfect example of how the Liberal Party of Canada and larger than that, the federal government of Canada has weaponized the Canadian flag to be a political symbol of their ruling class. And we're seeing that in the West with an abandonment of Canadian patriotism. We're seeing that happen live. This is what happens when you tell an entire segment of your population that you don't belong, that you are on the fringe, that your opinions and your needs and your wants are unwelcome to the establishment. This is what we're going to get, is an abandonment of Canadian symbols and initiatives. Yeah.
Look, this article from CTV goes on to irritate the daylights out of me.
Go on.
It says under, if you're looking for it, Olivia, reclaimed flag. One of the clearest signs of this shift is the maple leaf flag, once seen by some as a symbol co-opted by the Freedom Convoy movement, as though those people weren't Canadians.
Right.
Those people weren't Canadians, you jerks.
Yeah, still are. Still are. They can wave that flag any way they want.
The flag is now being embraced by a broader group of Canadians. Like, they're just so shocked that the flag belongs to everybody. This guy says,
I love how the flag is being embraced by people who put up the flag and it still has the creases on it. You know, you can see you can see the dollar store packaging. And really, if you think that waving Canadian flags made in China and all of your dollar store finery. Okay, we saw you all on Parliament Hill and all of your dollar store finery, your Canada t-shirts that you got for $1.25. I mean, honestly, it's pretty laughable. It's pretty laughable.
This professor that they trotted out, he says, I do think that the current moment has meant that the maple leaf flag has been reclaimed for mainstream Canadians. As if people who thought that following arrows on the floor wouldn't save you from disease are the extremist mindset. Like, I believe this man still teaches in a mask. I'm sure of it. He says, flying the flag is no longer raising the same sorts of suspicions that the person displaying it harbors sympathies for right-wing causes. Yeah. This is like reverse McCarthyism.
Has anyone checked on the people of Ottawa? Like, there was tens of thousands of people that would have descended upon their little bubble enclaves yesterday, you know, with noise, with Canada flags. Has anybody checked with the residents of Ottawa? That must have been very traumatizing for them.
I hope they didn't hear any honking.
Hope not.
They're just still, I mean, they trotted out the guy from Guelph who he suffers from phantom honking still. It's sort of like if you've been at the water park all day and you lay in bed and you could still feel the water crashing on your face. That's him, but with honking. We've got Mark Carney. Can't keep the partisan garbage to himself even on one day of the year. Takes a shot at the Trump administration during Canada Day festivities. Trump did ragdoll these jerks. Like just days ago. Shut up for a second, but nope, can't. He just can't. Just got to get them elbows up just to put them back down again. I mean, let's watch this.
We find ourselves in a situation where the world is being convulsed. We find ourselves in a situation where our economy is being attacked by a trade war that we didn't start.
What?
We find ourselves in a situation where our values are being tested by attacks on democracy and freedoms, attacks that we must resist. And once again, as the world becomes more divided and dangerous, Canadians are uniting. We're united. We're uniting and we're putting our values into action. We find ourselves.
Western separation is at its highest point in a generation, maybe two. What are you talking about? We're uniting. And, you know,
exactly that.
Again, it's like we don't even exist in all of this. It's like when Justin Trudeau forgot to list Alberta in the provinces at Canada Day. It's the same stuff over and over. We're united more than ever before. No, the country is split down political lines and regional lines now. And it has a lot to do with the election of Mark Carney.
Yep, and battling a trade war we didn't start. Well, I'm pretty sure you added to that with your elbows up garbage, Mark Carney. I mean, do you not remember your entire campaign? And it's really funny the way that he is so duplicitous. When he has
Duplicitous. What a great word for him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome for that word. He is duplicitous because when he has Donald Trump in the room, he is nothing but an arse-kissing, bending over backwards, butt up man, okay? And then when Donald Trump is not in the room, when he has a microphone to himself in front of his cronies in Ottawa, he's talking all about, he's talking about how tough we are and how we are handling things and how great we're doing and how united we are. When in fact, the Trump administration just handed their butts to them, the Liberal Party of Canada, and further than that, the federal government of Canada, in a trade dispute that we absolutely did contribute to. We absolutely contributed to the trade dispute. So Mark Carney has got a funny way of rewriting history and making himself look good in it, when in fact he's been an abject failure so far.
Yeah, who put in the digital services tax? Mark Carney? You think, did the Russians do it? Did they
Iran?
Iran? Yeah. You guys passed it and you made it retroactive. And thank God President Trump saved Canadians from a $7 billion tax grab.
Right?
He saved us from the tax grab that the Carney Liberals were trying to inflict on us, because it would have certainly been passed down to Canadian consumers. These digital streaming platforms,
yes,
they're not going to eat that. They just give it to us, which is absolute garbage. He did this.
And it's crazy because Donald Trump could also intervene on our supply management issues in Canada. So he's saying, unless you dismantle the dairy cartel and the other cartels in Canada that have infiltrated, our supply chain, making our groceries prohibitively expensive, we're not going to talk trade with you. And so thank God for President Trump intervening on behalf of Canadians, saving us money, getting rid of some of these crazy liberal ideas that took root over these last several years. Like, thank God for President Trump intervening.
We've got another video from Mark Carney before we hit an ad break, and I want to tell everybody about our Rebel News birthday party, so don't let me forget that. But Mark Carney says his government will get the best deal for Canadians in trade negotiations with the U.S. after backing down on imposing a digital services tax on American firms. We're making progress. And here's the thing. I don't even know if they're going to back down on the digital services tax on Canadian companies, right?
They'll probably go forward, yeah.
Which means we're going to lose Canadian companies like Rumble to the United States to get around this tax. But this guy doesn't know anything about financial flight, Mr. Banker. Right. Anyways, let's watch this.
We are all thinking about how our relationship with our neighbor to the south is changing. You have set a deadline for yourself and those neighbors, a deal in 30 days. We saw some challenges this week, even a suggestion that Canada has caved. Are you going to be able to get a deal done in time, Prime Minister?
We'll see. We're doing what's necessary in order to get the best deal for Canadians. And we get the best deal for Canadians, we'll agree to it. If we can't, we won't. I mean, it's that simple. We are making progress as a whole. And, look, what we did this week is something that I think we were going to do anyways in the end for the deal. But the other elements are coming together, need to fully come together. We'll work hard. Maybe not this afternoon, to be honest. We're not going to work. I'll be honest. Can I take the afternoon off after my remarks?
I don't get to decide that.
Not a great. Well, the Canadians get to decide. I'm working for all Canadians. So
we are all thinking about it.
What is he talking about? We weren't going to do it anyway? Well, then why did you do it?
We're going to get the best deal for Canadians, but if we can't, we won't. I think he actually said that. Like, make that all make sense, guys, because I'm not real sure about what he said there. But, I guess we can all just breathe a sigh of relief that Prime Minister Mark Carney got an afternoon off.
Yeah. I think he's got the whole summer off. But, yeah, like you said, what happened this week, I think we were going to do anyway. Well, then why'd you do it? Why'd you piss off the Americans like that? Yeah. Nobody believes that you weren't going to do it because you wouldn't have done it then. Right. He brought in the digital services tax. The Americans said, the hell you are, stop trade talks. and then the Canadians just turtled. Elbows went way down.
It's the exact same playbook as tariffs, right? So Canada comes in, Mark Carney comes in, all tough, all big and blustery, elbows up, elbows up. We're never going to concede to the Americans. Everything is changing. We're going to teach them. We're not going to do what those Americans want. And then as soon as Trump says, right, you're going to do what we want, or we're going to slam you with tariffs. Well, what does Mark Carney do? He rescinds all of the counter tariffs, all of the reciprocal tariffs. Same thing happened here. We're not going to change anything. We're going to go forward. We're going to stick to our guns, elbows up, until Trump comes along and says, if you don't withdraw this digital services tax, the talks are over. Our talks are over. So what we're learning here is that what America wants, America is going to get as it pertains to Mark Carney and trade negotiations. And Mark Carney should do some hard listening to what the Americans want from their trade talks with Canada.
Yeah. And I here's the thing. I don't want him to be antagonistic, but he campaigned on being antagonistic. And that's what I find so comical, if it weren't for the Canadian economy being at stake, is just what a coward this guy is. It's like those left-wing journalists who will talk a big game about me and Rebel News online until I'm in the same room with them. And then they're like, oh my God, did she see me? Like, they're so scared of me. I'm not a big woman, but grown-ass mainstream media men will hide in fear from me. And it's pathetic because they are like Mark Carney. Liberal men seem to be all the same. They talk a good game in public, but where the rubber meets the road, they're nothing but a bunch of cowards, complete and total cowards. They'll talk behind your back, but never to your face.
Well, sure, because when you take them out of their validation circle, they have no good arguments. So there's that, Sheila Gunn Reid.
Right.
There is that.
Right.
Yeah. These are not men that are being used to having questions leveled at them that they have to put any thought into. No. Yeah. No.
There's a crisis of testosterone on the left for sure. Like, grown men should not hide, cower in fear from me.